Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Swarms of the Multiverse, offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms. Plus, you get instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing one of our books using the links in the video description. Before we talk about this week's new releases, we have to talk about the exclusive Splinterverse discount this week, and it's for Doom Desert and the Decanter of Delirium, which is a really fun psychedelic adventure for characters levels 2 to 3. It's by Austin Holm with art by Maya Bainbow, and Watcher DM is the publisher of this book, and it's normally $3.99, but we're giving it to you at 25% off, so just under $3 for the title. It's for levels 2 to 3, 4 to 6 players, and it takes around 48 hours to play through it. And it's an exotic romp through a mysterious world of riddles, puzzles, and inscrutable denizens. It's 5th edition compatible, and it says it's a love letter to psychedelia as vivid and beautiful as exciting and surreal. So you can get wrapped up in conversation with the dead drunks at the last saloon on Earth. You can solve the Sphinx riddle and discover the secrets of the ziggurat, or break bread and wine with whispering harpies or the sun itself. This compelling narrative is written by Austin Holm and captures the exploration, social, and challenge pillars of a great game with the deft prose of a poet. So very, very fun. And I love the artwork on the cover. I mean, we looked at that. That's really cool. And the concept is really fun too. So there's this fantastical substance called black sand that people have become addicted to. And so the party is hired to sort of resolve that, because it's creating all sorts of problems in this particular area. And so at a certain point, once the adventurers have taken the job, 2 days pass, and then after much tracking and questioning, the adventurers have successfully cornered someone called Karazar in a small remote cottage. Bursting in, he surrenders immediately. "Don't hurt me," he cries. "Please take my treasure." He produces a red bottle of shimmering blood glass and uncorks it. A vortex springs up, sucking the rapidly shrinking adventurers into the bottle. "You fools," howls Karazar. "Now you are prisoners in the Decanter of Delirium." And the adventurers are now inside the pocket dimension inside this bottle. And then there's a whole map that kind of shows you where all the different things are and where they start, which would be O1 on here. And there's so many different things happen. There's random encounters, like this little table here that you can deal with. So the first one on that table is: "A wind carries a strange half-heard song to your ears. Adventurers who speak Elvish can decode the following lyric: Wicked wells weep wheel water. Wise women won't walk with woe's wish." So some fun alliteration in that lyric in Elvish. And that's just 1 out of 10 options they give you, which is quite a lot. And then you get secrets of the library. So you find out about Oblet's ghost or the silent flight, and it gives you details of those. So Oblet's ghost, the secret is: a spirit of forgetfulness haunts these books. And it says it's a secret you're already forgetting. So you can have some fun role-playing that. But they go down the neck of the bottle, and they hit a whirlpool of trapped desert air, which spins them around and sends them crashing into the black sand floor of the decanter. And they have to make a strength check to dig themselves out of the sand. And then once they have their bearings, you let them know that they're surrounded on all sides by massive red glass walls containing a black sand desert. In the middle of the bottle floats an inverted black pyramid with a waterfall crashing down from it. From their vantage point, the adventurers see two strange cities, a black one an hour's walk to the east and a white one an hour to the south. There's a third path to the west, tracing the path of the curved bottle wall. So they have to figure out, which way they're going to go, but there's an amnesiac library. And I mean, you can see this fun sort of psychedelic artwork in here as well. I mean, there's just so much cool stuff in here. And you can see 6 of the pages here. But as I said, there's even dreams. So it says a tyrant terrified of revolution turns his palace into a gilded prison. So that could be one of the dreams. Another one is an architect builds a monument for a god he no longer believes in. So these are fun little dreams. You could even use this table outside of this book for just random dreams to give people. And the random encounters are a lot of fun. It says the party finds a group of dead adventurers long since picked clean by local scavengers, or they find these strange wax plugs about the size of an ear canal discarded in the sand. Yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen here. It's a pocket dimension, right? So I think there could be so many fun things. It says there's a charade of whispering harpies. The harpies will not attack anyone who makes no noise. Through pictographs and pantomime, they can be convinced to take the adventurers to the top of the pyramid if the adventurers eliminate their noisiest neighbors, the mariachi band at 14 or I4 and the lepers at 05. If the party returns with proof of these deeds, the harpies will happily fly the party to the tuning fork in situ. So that's references, of course, to this map up here of the interior of the bottle. But I mean, what a fun little adventure. How many adventures do you get to go to a pocket dimension? And all bets are off when you're in a new place like this. You just don't know what's going to happen, where you're going to go, how the players are going to react. It's, which way is up. All those questions are going to be asked, and you can get this at a screaming deal. And these discounts, they last for usually about a week. So we're already partway into the week, so you want to make sure you take advantage of this discount as soon as you can by looking for it. It's the first link in the timestamps under Doom Desert in the Decanter Delirium, and it's also in the pinned comment alphabetically. Be sure to give it a click and get that discount. Our first new release is Classing It Up, Amazing Artificers, New Specialties, Homunculi, and Steel Defenders by Anja Sfair and Beth Jones. It's $2.95 for 33 pages. We've covered quite a few releases in this series, Classing It Up, and it's always a lot of fun, and it gives you 9 all-new specialties along with new magic items, 20 new enhanced homunculus servants based on a variety of animals, and rules to expand them into steel defenders. So all sorts of stuff. If you play main, artificer, or you like playing artificers, one of the few classes that you play a lot, you want to get this book. Or, if you're a DM and you play with a lot of players and you want to encourage them to try out artificer, I mean, you can give them some more options with this. So you can see they got the biologist, the divinator, the geocartographer, inventor, mad scientist, etc. And then it goes to the introduction. And then you get right into the subclasses. And what's cool is they always let you, in this series Classing It Up, they always let you look at the whole book. So you can just scroll through the whole thing, see all the awesome stuff on offer. You can see these homunculus stat blocks for all the different options. And there's some special steel defenders. And you've got magic items in here. So you've got the light locket and the cloak of the rapscallion. And then all the different subclasses. So let's take a look at the Weaver, because I think that's a really fun concept for a class. So it says Weavers are specialized artificers who have studied the art and craft of numerous textiles, including how they are made, their different uses, and how they are transformed into useful articles of clothing. Considering themselves to be the masters of the weave, weavers feel that their acumen in combining their craft with the art of magic is the purest form of spellcraft. Weavers are able to mend clothing, create disguises and distracting outfits, and imbue some of their spells directly into their handiwork. So I love that concept, working with the weave and imbuing clothing with abilities and using it to disguise. So lots and lots of options. So, of course, you get extra spells, you get a tool proficiency with the sewing kit, and then also at 3rd level, whenever you finish a long rest, you can magically produce a terrific textile. Roll on the terrific textiles table for the textiles effect, which is triggered when someone uses the textile as an action. You can create additional terrific textiles by expending a spell slot at 1st level or higher for each one. When you do so, you use your action to create the textile from supplies on hand, and you choose the textiles effect from the Terrific Textiles table. Creating a Terrific Textile requires you to have a sewer's kit on your person, and any textiles you create with this feature lasts until it is used or until the end of your next long rest. And then they've got a list of them here. Like one of the effects is guard. The textile can be draped over oneself, providing physical protection from damage. The textile absorbs 10 HP of damage before disintegrating. So that's awesome. And if you can give it to somebody else, they can take 10 HP. Pretty fun. Distract. The textile is so colorful as to distract opponents and can be used to cast color spray, with the textile being the consumed component. Protect. The textile can be draped over oneself, providing protection from the elements. You gain advantage on constitution checks against either extreme heat or extreme cold. And so these are situational, right? You might need to distract somebody, or you might need to protect yourself from extreme heat or extreme cold. So it's nice to have that versatility and an effect like that. And we just read the first 3. There's 3 more. I want you to read those on your own. And you got Fabulous Fibers. At 5th level, you've established yourself as a master of combining textiles with your control of magic. Whenever you cast a spell using your sewing kit as the spellcasting focus, you gain a bonus to 1 roll of the spell equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of +1. You can also, at 5th level, use your sewing kit to create any part of disguise. You can add your proficiency bonus to that disguise, even if you do not have a proficiency in deception. And you can make the smallest scraps of fabrics go a long way. You can cast the mending spell without requiring any other material components than what you have in your sewing kit. And then it gives you what's in the sewing kit, as so that you know what that's all about. And then at 9th level, you can incorporate them into other works. Rather than use the effect from the Terrific Textiles table, you can use your Terrific Textile to cast the snare spell once as an action, with the Terrific Textile being consumed. You can cast Disguise Self without expending a spell slot, and without preparing the spell, provided you use your sewing kit as a spellcasting focus, and just a host of other things, including a 15th level one, where you can cast Avard's Black Tentacles and Misty Step. So I'll let you read the details of those, but very interesting design, incorporating the concept of the weave, which is sort of the network of magic, and weaving, the act of making garments into a subclass. That's fun. I mean, you normally wouldn't think of that for an artificer, but it works, I think, well as a concept for sure. So check it out. There's a lot of them in here. There's the divinator, there's a biologist, geocartographer, mad scientist, mathematician, nanosmith, poisoner. I mean, whatever you want to do, pick your poison, basically, including poisoner, and really have fun as an artificer. I think a lot of people that enjoy artificer are going to enjoy this. So check it out. It's in the links below under Classing It Up, Amazing Artificers. Give it a click. Next, we have Expanded Encounters, Barovia, Part 1, Cities of Barovia by Craig Wright. It says expand your urban encounters in this supplement designed for Curse of Strahd and Barovian adventures. So basically Ravenloft. And it's by author Greg Wright, 695, 18 pages. And I believe this is Greg's first book, if I'm interpreting Twitter correctly. So congrats, Greg, on getting a book out there. And it says it's a 2-part supplement meant to amp up the encounter table found in Curse of Strahd for use with any horror campaign, but deeply embedded in the Gothic land of Barovia. Challenge and reward your players with the urban encounters presented here. So there's 99 new encounters spread across 6 tables focused on Barovia, Valakai, Krezk, and Berez, as well as day and night table for use anywhere in the domain of Barovia. So yeah, they have these domains of dread and Ravenloft, so this is really focused on Barovia. But I could see these, I was reading some of them, I could see them even in another sort of Gothic setting, if you have a Gothic setting, or you just want to cause some darkness to happen in a brighter setting. Maybe there's a area of effect, maybe you have a forest where things have just not gone well, and so something is amiss, and so you have some more Gothic encounters in that forest, right? So really lots of uses for this outside of Curse of Strahd as well. So we always like reusability in our books that we look at. So you can see they're broken out into Barovia day and night, and then you've got Village of Barovia, Valakai, Kresix, and Berez. So pretty cool. And I was reading some of these. They're pretty fun. There's a whole list of tables, or a list of options here, different things that you can come into encounter with. Everything from a broken down cart to a dusk elf necromancer, a cairn. So we're going to read a few of these. But so the first one, funeral procession. You come across a solemn funeral procession moving to a remote gravesite. So that's what you would read to the players. And then it tells you the procession is made up of 1d12 Barovian commoners and has 1d6 pallbearers. If the party has someone willing to bless the funeral, the procession is willing to pay 10 SP and a common gem. If met with any hostilities, the procession is willing to fight until one of their own is harmed. Then they flee, leaving the casket and body behind. So yeah, that's just flavorful. You don't see funerals every day, right? Or especially processions. So having that happen in the middle of an adventure or just as you're walking through somewhere, I think is going to create a mood. You've got red caps. You've got a mission of Ezra. It says you come across a chanting line of priests who wear a shield embroidered with white belladonna. They stop the party to ask for directions. These priests are devotees of Ezra who are on a mission to establish their faith in one of Barovia's cities. They ask for directions and in return are willing to cast bless on anyone who does so. So not all of these are combat situations, right? Some of these are just odd things that happen or little buffs. Like this would be a buff if you got somebody to get the bless spell cast on them by helping give directions. And then you've got, Barovia night encounters with another list. So here's one. It says a Barovian witch initiation. In nearby standing stones, a group of scantily dressed men and women stand around a fire praising the moon, while a young woman sits in the center, her face adorned with arcane symbols. The young woman is a farmer's daughter named Roxana, and she's about to make a pact with Strahd to become a Barovian witch. Uncertain about this, the 1d8 Barovian witches surrounding her are quite certain she'll be initiated and fight to make it happen. Any disturbance is met with hostility from all but Roxana. There's a 25% chance Strahd personally appears during this initiation. So you can see how you can work this into Curse of Strahd as well, right? And there's just so many I could read for you, but you get to read 10 of the 18 pages, so you can read quite a few of them if you click our link and come to the page here, so you can see if these are going to work for you. But I love these. I think they have a lot of usability, even beyond Ravenloft, even beyond Curse of Strahd, and I think they're fun, well-written. They give you just enough to play with. Sometimes people can overdo it in the detail or not give you enough, and I think these are that Goldilocks zone of just right amount of information to get you going as a DM and creating some fun things to encounter in either Ravenloft or some other place where you want a little darkness. So check it out. It's in the links below under Expanded Encounters Barovia. Give it a click. Next, we have the Hemonomicon, a grim and bloody supplement from Martin Aguilar, and it's $5 for 39 pages. And it says, this module focuses on the hemomancy mechanics introduced by Matt Mercer with his Blood Hunter class and expands it to races, magic items, spells, and much more. Control your body and the one of your enemies with the new Blood Mage class. Become a monstrous, unnatural pig-like being or absorb the blood of your different enemies to change forms with the Spheno and Redcap races. Or use one of the hundreds of new possibilities with the Bruderum, Elf, and the Hemoglobin subraces, or any of the 8 new subclasses for Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Ranger, or even the Blood Hunter. And use any of the new dozens of feats, magic items, spells, or blood curses to your advantage, mutating yourself and others to become a monstrous being out for blood. So this one seems to have a lot of options for, again, either a Ravenloft setting or some setting where you would have maybe a blood hunter going through it, or just need that sort of feeling of it's bloody, right? There's some blood involved. So, it can be just a hint of it through the subclasses, or you can have a full-blown, blood mage, or you can have a lot of blood with all the different items. You could have a whole campaign centered around it. So you can mix and match with a supplement like this to really bring in the amount of blood that you want, because I know some people are sensitive to blood, right, and depiction of it in the game, so you want to check with your players, of course. But the beauty of supplements like this is they're not directly tied to a setting, so you can really just pick and choose. You can, turn it up to 11 or keep it at a 1 or a 2 and just have a taste of it, maybe with just a magic item or just a spell. So I like books that have this a lot of stuff in it for you to pick and choose from. So in the 6-page preview, you're getting to see the Druid Circle of Savagery, the Ranger Bloodhound Conclave. Then you get to see the Bruderum Elves, which would be a subrace, I think, and then the Hemogoblin, which is another race, so probably a subrace as well. And then you get the Redcap race, which is really cool, and they even have some subraces for it. So awesome. Let's look at the red cap race, because I like red caps. We have red caps in one of our books. So it says Feywild beings usually are unpredictable. The red caps aren't an exception. Many races and people consider them evil for the sake of being evil. To quote Volo, they desire only to murder and cause carnage and mayhem and act only to satisfy these bloody impulses. What many don't realize is that with just a bit of luck, red caps can leave aside their murderous nature and live just as any human, elf, or dwarf, with their descendants even following them. So it gives you kind of the background, their personalities, all that stuff, naming, and then you get into the traits. So you've got age and ability scores and all that stuff. But then it says Fey, your origins through the Fey show through your characteristics and personality. Your creature type is Fey instead of humanoid. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. And then blood sustenance, you do not need to eat, drink, or sleep. Instead, you have a light activity. You can have a light activity such as reading or writing during a short rest, and you can fulfill your ration of daily food by pouring at least a quarter of a pint of blood, animal blood works, over your hat. You can also pour this amount of blood from your hat to remove 1 level of exhaustion from you. However, every hour you spend without indirect contact of your hat, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. And then blood absorption. As a bonus action, you can absorb the blood of your enemies from around you. Choose any number of creatures within 15 feet of you. They must make a con saving throw with a DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your con modifier. You can then deal necrotic damage equal to your level spread across all the creatures that failed the saving throw as you choose. If at least one creature failed the saving throw, you absorb its blood, covering your rations of food for the day. So, and then you can only use that feature once per long rest. And then you got dark vision, languages, Common, Elvish, Sylvan, and 1 other language. And then by soaking your hat into the blood of different creatures, you gain and lose certain properties for 1d4 days. You gain the benefits of each transformation after 1d4 hours of soaking your hat in the respective liquid, and you can only have 1 transformation at a time. And then, so it tells you based, if you're a fire cap, if you absorb the blood of a celestial, and then if you absorb the blood of a fiend, you become a madcap, etc. So different subraces. That's a cool way, I think, in game, in story, in lore, to bring in the subraces. Is it has to do with your hat and what you do with it and what you soak it in. And, it talks about how you can't be separated from your hat too long. So the act of soaking it, you're going to be separated. Somebody could steal your hat. I mean, there's a lot of story potential, too, with the red cap hat. And losing it and getting it back, and then obviously all the transformations that can occur as a result of soaking the hat. I think it could be a lot of fun. And that's just the one race. There's a bunch of stuff in here. They've got the Druid Circle of Savagery and these other subclasses. They've got the Blood Mage class. They've got magic items, spells. So if you need to bring some more blood if you need to infuse some blood into your game or your table, then the Hemonomicon is going to be a really cool option for you. So check it out. It's in the video description links under Hemonomicon. Give it a click. Next, we have Heroes of Wildspace, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, and Rogue from E.R.F. Jordan, 245 for 6 pages. And this is an assortment of subclasses that are tied to Spelljammer, which is really cool. It says, natural talent might help an adventure in Wildspace from moment to moment, but training is the bedrock of success. Training means different things to different people. Some adventurers spend years in academies hidden in the far corners of the Astral Sea, while others train under wise mentors with decades of spelljamming experience under their belt. Some even train themselves, experimenting with their hazardous surroundings and learning from their failures. Training and growth define an adventure more than any other factor. So you've got the monk Way of Gravity's grip. It says this monk uses ki to manipulate gravity from striking opponents weightless to propelling themselves through space. Then you got the paladin Oath of Rebellion. This paladin rages against the tyrants of Wildspace, breaking the weak and persecuted free of their bonds and leaving them to victory. And then Ranger Bounty Hunter. This ranger is an urban hunter with an interrogation expert that can magically track their prey. And then Rogue Drone Tinker. This rogue has a magical drone companion that gives them a new way to score sneak attacks and pick locks from afar. So fun stuff. And it all fits very well with the Wildspace, with Spelljammer. So in the preview, you get to see a good chunk of the monk Way of the Gravity's grip. So it says a monk who follows the Way of the Gravity's grip learns to manipulate gravity using ki, basically. They learn to fight in any terrain, whether laboring under the intense gravity of a giant planet or floating freely in the weightless void of Wildspace. Adaptability is the key virtue of this style, and enemies who cannot adapt to a constantly shifting flow of battle are no match for it. So at 3rd level, you have learned to apply your martial arts in a variety of circumstances. You can make unarmed strikes and attacks with monk weapons, normally in areas with low or no gravity. You can spend 1 ki point to cast the Levitate spell on yourself or a creature or object within reach. And you can, at 6th level, you can use when you use your bonus action to make an unarmed strike and hit a creature, you can spend 1 ki point to impose one of the following extra effects. So one of those is Heavy Fist. The target takes extra damage equal to one roll of your martial arts die, and it must succeed on a strength saving throw against your ki save DC or fall prone. Or you can do Empty Fist. You cast Levitate on the target as if using your Become Weightless feature. And then 11th level, while weightless in an area with no gravity, you can propel yourself with ki, granting you a flying speed equal to your walking speed. And at 17th level, when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend 6 ki points to trap it within an intense gravity field. The target must make a strength saving throw against your ki save DC. On a failed save, the creature takes force damage, falls prone, and is restrained by gravity for 1 minute. On a successful save, the creature takes half damage and no other effects. And then, of course, the restrained creatures can repeat their saving throws. But really fun. I like the how it's playing with gravity and working things in there for the monk to have a little bit of a different feel with the levitation, propulsion, and using their ki to manipulate their enemies. So pretty fun. And that's just one. There's a number of other subclasses, a total of 4, awaiting you to bring either to your Spelljammer Wildspace experience or some other fantastical setting. So check it out. It's in the video description links under Heroes of Wildspace, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, and Rogue. Give it a click. Next, we have Magewright Backgrounds Volume 4 from Animancy Press and Peter Carmichael, $4.99 for 14 pages. It said, did your character get their start as a Magewright apothecary? How about a Magewright herald who delivered local current events and the like? Or perhaps you were a Magewright page who delivered packages and messages. This package includes 5 Magewright backgrounds, complete with background spells that are added to your list of spells you can learn in all of your classes, 5 feats to help you make use of your background spells list, which is compatible for use with this or other material, which includes background spell list, 7 background spells usable in any adventure, and 2 magic items specific to Magewrights. So, all themed around these backgrounds of a Magewright, which makes sense that there would be Magewrights in the fantasy settings. And what's nice is they have some of the newer features of backgrounds where you're connected to feats and you're getting stronger features. The early backgrounds had more weaker features, and now the power level is rising as more and more 5th edition books come out. And so you can see you're going to get some spells like Encode Object here, Fast Crafting, etc. So let's look at that. Inside, it's hyperlinked, which we always love when that happens in a book. That means you can click these in the PDF and jump around to what you want to look at. But right off the bat, we got the Apothecary Magewright. You get Arcana, Religion, and Medicine or Survival, or Arcana or Religion, and then you get Medicine or Survival. So you get proficiency with the Herbalism Kit and the Poisoner's Kit, various equipment. And it says you specialize in the manufacture of medicines, both magical and mundane. You keep your clientele in good health and good times. And then if you have spellcasting or pack magic, you get access to all these special spells here. Some of these are new to the book and they're hyperlinked, so you can jump to those spells. And then you get right into the Herald Magewright, which also has a spell list, etc. And the Page and the Scribe, and then the Tavern Keep. So all of these make sense to me. So it says, as a Tavern Keep, you use magic as a function of your work to fulfill your staffing needs. You've also heard a thing or two and can add a D4 to any intelligence history checks made regarding current events. As a Scribe, your handwriting is your pride. When you write a message, you can magically encrypt a secret message into it. Anyone attempting to decrypt one of your encrypted messages who is not the intended recipient must make an investigation check to see it. And additionally, when you cast Glyph of Warding on a wax seal, there is no limitation as to the distance it can travel from where the spell was cast, so long as the condition requires that the seal be broken. So we're just reading a little bit here, but you can see there's some fun spells like Fast Crafting, Illusory Assistant, Conjure Crew, Create Potion. There's several feats associated, like the Magewright and Public Service feat. You've got Shared Text, Send Familiar, Encode Object. I mean, we've talked about some of these. You got the spells down here with the Encode Object. So when you cast the spell, the material component becomes an extra dimensional container for an object or objects filling a space of no more than 5 cubic feet. Regardless of the object's weight, the container's weight only increases by 10 ounces per object. The object is then represented on the page as an itemized list or as illustrations. When dispelled, requires an action. The objects appear in your hands or in the nearest unoccupied space. So you're like putting the objects into two-dimensional images or lists in your book or wherever, and then a page in a book, a scroll, whatever, and then you bring them back when you want them. So it's a great way to hide stuff. It's 5th level and takes 10 minutes to cast as a ritual. So really cool stuff. And that's just a little bit. We haven't even read any of the feats. There's more spells for you waiting for you in here, and I think these seem really cool. Even if you just want to use them as like for NPCs to make, sometimes you encounter a scribe or a tavern keep or whatever, and it's just boring. They're just run-of-the-mill scribes or tavern keeps, right? These things can be used for your NPCs as well. So I encourage you to check it out. It's in the links below under Magewright Backgrounds 4. Give it a click. Next, we have Minor Magic Items from John Paget. It's $4.95 for 11 pages, and it contains 100 unique magical items that can provide an adventure party with useful, strange, and powerful items. All the items are considered uncommon and will not break the game by being overpowered. None of them require attunement, so any creature can use them so long as the item's usage limits are not broken. And there's multiple indexes, so you can find them alphabetically or by how powerful they are or by the type of item. So there's potions, tools, containers, accessory, clothes, jewelry, headgear, and a bunch more in there. And they give you some samples on the page as well, but we're going to look inside. So it gives you just some fun stuff to find. I mean, there's so many books that give you the legendary, the artifact, the very rare, all those things, right? And so it's nice sometimes to have a book that's just going to give you those lower tier, more closer to mundane things, but that still are fanciful and bring some flavor to your campaign. So you can roll 1d100 to pick an item because it's going to give you by the overall power. And or by name, however you want to find the items, and then by category, it's giving you tables. So for inventions, there's 12, so you can roll a 1d12 basically, or for weapons 1d10, or potions 1d6, etc. And then you get right into the items with some artwork as well. So we'll just read a few of the items. So you've got able oars, which is considered a tool. 2 oars that give users advantage on athletic checks when rowing. So yeah, not game breaking, not something that should require attunement, right? You need this stuff. You're going to get so many of the big ticket items elsewhere. So having a book with 100 little things is awesome. And again, these can be things found in loot, hidden in a place that's, like a dragon's hoard maybe. So you get the cap of concealment, which is headgear. This hat can hold items up to 3 foot wide and 25 pounds in weight. So a little sneaky little hat. You've got the cap of thought, also headgear. 3 uses. The user can deduct points from their strength and dex modifier and add it to their int or wisdom modifier for up to 1 minute. So that's a fun little trick. Again, not game breaking. You've got dust mask. The wearer has advantage against con saves versus gas or smoke effects. And you might have a situation where there's going to be a bunch of gas or smoke effects. So you just drop this little dust mask somewhere early in the dungeon or wherever you're going to be. And then one of the characters is going to have a little help to get through it, right? Maybe they'll fight over who gets the dust mask or whatever, right? So I love this. You can never have enough little things like this, little things to find. It's kind of like trinkets, but a little bit more. And I think there's just such a need for these because people are asking, well, what's over there? What's in this cabinet? What's on this shelf? It can be anywhere, sitting in a cell in a dungeon, on the stump of a tree in the middle of the forest, wherever you want to drop a little fantasy. This book's going to help you, and it's only $4.95 to get 100 items. So check it out. It's under minor magic items in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Of Gangs, Guilds, and Groups, Sea Dogs by Revel Tales. New criminal gangs to meet in the harbors of D&D. It's $2.49 for 15 pages. So it's a collection of handbooks of gangs, guilds, and groups, of which you are reading the first volume. And it's focused on criminal gangs, adventurers guilds, and trading companies, giving new color to the factions you might meet. So you get 5 new gangs designed to populate the harbors and slums of seaside communities: the Piers Blades, the Horde of Graham, the Magnifuocos Cartel, Sons of Freedmen, and the Broom. And then you get 30 insipid to fastly set and play a game session in the company of the Sea Dogs. So the table of contents here, you can see an intro, then it goes through each of these factions, including their specialties, their colors, their headquarters, the overview, their goals, their advantages and disadvantages, their engagements and events. So fun. Let's look inside. You can never have enough factions. You just never know when you're going to need a faction to work into a story or to say, oh, go talk to the Sea Dogs. They've got, this thing or that thing, right? So in the sample, you get to see 4 of the 15 pages. So a little bit about the Piers Blades and the Sea Dogs in here. So it says, for the Piers Blades, their specialties are city riots, petty crime, and beatings. Their headquarters in harbor districts, slums, and squares. The Blades are mostly young drifters acting out of the pure love of mayhem, or at least that's what the good people who live in the neighborhoods outside their hunting grounds think of them. It is unknown if they have some kind of patron guiding them, but there are rumors of them being in the pay of those who offer them money, favors, or smuggled goods. You usually hear about them when they create skirmishes in the alleys and squares of the cities where this organization is present, attracting the attention of the guards, fomenting public contempt, and increasing the fear that the other gangs have of them. They're very good at camouflaging themselves and disappearing into the crowd, often carrying with them a few purses full of coins. And there's a lot more, but you can read that on your own. And this says their goals are very unclear. It is difficult to identify their next target because they move seamlessly from simple thefts and small skirmishes between rookies to real revolts and popular uprisings perpetrated for more insidious purposes: subversive actions, sabotage, ambushes against the guards, and bomb attacks. No neighborhood can be considered safe if it is part of the Blades' plans. Politically, they are not aligned, but they are the first ones to fight the guards when the social malaise begins to be felt, or maybe after fomenting it for their own dark purposes. So yeah, you're getting a lot of detail about, and we're just seeing a few pages, right? I think it's fun. I mean, you just can never have enough of these different groups. Somebody's going to say, well, we're going to interrogate him and find out who he's working for. And then you're like a DM, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a plan for this. I need a faction. And so you can pull this book out and you have these 5 criminal factions you can put in there. Or maybe you have a character who wants to play a rogue and really wants to go deep, and they want to know, like, okay, well, what group have I worked with? Am I part of a guild? what have I been up to before I, go on this adventure. And so this could be part of the background, and then maybe later one of these gangs comes into the foreground, and you have to deal with, maybe they're like, you've been gone too long, you need to come help us with this heist, or whatever, right? So many options when you have factions on standby. And with this book, you're going to be able to do that. So look for it in the video description links under Of Gangs, Guilds, and Groups, and give it a click. Next, we have Mercanes and Megapedes. So it's by Daniel Kahn and Charlie Branson. It's $3.95 for 12 pages, and it's for Spelljammer. It says, in the shattered and violent system of Doomspace, rapacious pirate factions vie with one another for the favor and patronage of the Mercane arms dealer 𝙁𝙗. When would-be heroes from a distant system appear seeking his help to build an alliance, the shrewd power broker sees a unique opportunity. The price of 𝙁𝙗's influence is small, collect an outstanding debt. But what will the heroes do when that small task becomes lethally huge? So it says, in light of 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙀𝙀, which is part of the Spelljammer box set, Chapter 8, Arena of Blood, after rescuing Warwick, the gift of Doomspace, the party seeks an audience with 𝙁𝙗 the Mercane in order to unite a group of factions into a coalition against the Astral Elves. In the book, 𝙁𝙗 proposes that the party participate in a pit fight in order to gamer favor with the spectating factions. While the premise, I read that wrong. In order to garner favor with the spectating factions. While the premise of an arena pit fight is certainly exciting, the supplement offers an opportunity to add further complexity and nuance to the relationships between 𝙁𝙗 and the factions. On this quest, the party explores a new small dungeon location, 𝘏𝙤𝙤𝙀 Z, with exploration, a bit of mystery, and some high-stakes combat. This adventure provides a personal quest on behalf of 𝙁𝙗, such that he feels indebted to the party and has a stronger motivation to help them achieve their goals. This adventure also ties in another one of the factions to make negotiations in Chapter 9 carry more weight. As always, it is up to you how much of this content you use. So this book is really, meant to be like a side quest that you plug into Light of 𝙤𝙤𝙀𝙀 that deepens the connections with some of the NPCs from that book. So really fun. I like this, especially if you're going to replay stuff. Having a way to change it up, to make it different the second time around is really cool. Maybe you're a DM and you DM'd it once and now you want to play it. So you maybe the DM that you're working with can, that's going to DM the game where you're a player can run this so that you don't know everything. And it's a little bit more... I should say a little bit less spoiled for you. So I like it. I like that there's these options out here. I mean, there are very few publishers that are doing this, that are going in and interspersing content in the existing books. And I think it's a really nice niche and very useful. And look at this fun artwork. So let's look inside. So you got the introduction, talks more about it, gives you an adventure hook. So we'll read a little bit about that adventure hook. It says, the primary adventure hook for this quest falls in line with the main plot of Chapter 8, Arena of Blood. The party is looking to form a coalition against the Astral Elves and needs 𝙁𝙗's help to get an audience with the factions. Instead of immediately suggesting that the party battle in his arena, 𝙁𝙗 tasks the party with a dangerous mission to test whether they're worth his time. He asks the party to collect a debt for him by stealing Megapede eggs from a thrice-green asteroid base called 𝘏𝙤𝙀𝙀 11. In return, he promises to arrange a meeting with the factions. You can replace the box text where 𝙁𝙗 starts with with the following box text. So it tells you exactly how to place this into the existing Light of 𝙤𝙤𝙀𝙀 adventure. It says, "Spare me the winning," 𝙁𝙗 says, or the whining, 𝙁𝙗 says with a sneer. "I'll make you an offer. I am owed a debt, and you can collect it for me. About 3 days from here, hidden on an asteroid, is a secret supply depot. They are holding 4 Megapede eggs that I've already paid for, and they keep stalling on delivery. Go get my eggs, and I will use my influence with the pirate factions on your behalf. Only the Thri-Keen can access through their main cargo bay, but I have it on good authority. There's a secret entrance hatch that you can access to slip by any guards. Try not to get anyone killed." So, Bocat seems like a fun character. He provides direction to catch Cat 11 and gives the party a cochlear adornment, saying this might prove useful. So, yeah, it just seems fun, seems to fit right in, doesn't deviate too much from the adventure, just extends it a little bit. Again, either because you want to spend more time there, maybe you want to do this side quest because one of your tables missing, and so this is a quick way to like continue the adventure but without missing some of the main beats of the adventure. So many ways to use this. Or maybe you can adapt it as a second quest. Maybe you finish the whole Light of 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤, then you go back and you know, if you maybe increase some of the dangers of the enemies that you face, you could have this be after everything in Light of 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤 and go through it again. So pretty cool. Check it out. It's under of Mercanes and Megapedes in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Radiant Citadel Enterprises, 10 fantastic shops, services, and organizations, complete with adventure hooks and NPCs for your Radiant Citadel campaign. So Radiant Citadel was such a fun book from Wizards of the Coast, and I'm happy to see that people are still creating tie-in content for it. It kind of was in between some major releases, so I don't think it got as much attention as it could or maybe should have. So it's great when people are still reminding us that the Radiant Citadel book is out there. And so this one's by Elizabeth Van Koevering. It's $9.95 for 38 pages, and it says, here's the guide to the Radiant Citadel you've been waiting for. Get to know the Citadel and make it come alive like never before. Want to know where to get a drink or a bite to eat, where to buy goods, how to gamble or carouse, or where to find poisons or secondhand knickknacks in the Citadel itself? Well, then this book is for you. It gives you 10 new enterprises, including 5 shops, 2 services, and 3 guilds. Each enterprise comes with NPCs and adventure hooks that tie into the different civilizations and to each other. And there are 3 potential group patrons. Each enterprise includes a list of goods or services, offers, profiles of the main NPCs and adventure hooks, both with the Citadel and out to other Citadel civilizations, including 𝘬𝙤, the 𝘏𝙤 Empire, and an unknown civilization. That's 40 adventure hooks in all, not counting the ideas on the bounty board. The complications for gambling and carousing or training with the local poisoner. The quests, the list of 100 trinkets may send you on, or the freedom fighters you may encounter. So, lots of stuff in this 36 pages, and it lists all the different enterprises here, and you can see it's really beautifully laid out as well. Very much feels like it belongs with the Radiant Citadel, almost as an official release. I love this background on the pages here. It really feels like that, and this map of the Radiant Citadel is so cool, and it gives you numbers of where everything is located. So the different shops, like the Four Spades Traders, the Freedom Fighter Fundamentals, House of Chike, Perfumery Ethereale, and the Quiet Spirit. And then they've got services like the Elemental Plate and the Jimson Jelly Bar and Nightclub, and then organizations like the Cartographers Collective, Monster Hunters Guild, and Ethereal Surf Club and Tattoo Parlor. And then it talks about what they do there, the proprietor, and the origin, like what civilization is it connected to? Because again, the Radiant Citadel is bringing together like all different cultures from these different faraway places. So you've got Cartographers Collective, goes right into that, and the master sage that works there, as well as this inventory list for the shop, which is super cool. Actually, Cartographers Collective is a organization, so they've got some fees that they charge. It's not really an inventory list, but that's cool. And then here you've got the city of San Sitlan, and then some hooks for the Cartographers Collective. We're going to read a little bit more in a minute. And then you got the Elemental Plate, which is a restaurant in the Court of Whispers, and then you've got their menu. I mean, these are so helpful, so laid out. I feel like everything they're giving you is exactly what you need. So you get your adventure hooks, you get your NPC sort of what their objectives are, what they're thinking, things they might say. You get these lists of like either inventory or menus, and then of course you get the background lore for the place. So just a perfect amount of things for what you're going to be dealing with. So it says, in a beautiful house near the Passage of Respite, a loose grouping of interested geographers holds lectures and keeps a library of maps relating to all the Radiant Citadel civilizations for reference. Collective members wear small brass pins showing 13 small jewels orbiting a diamond. 𝘽𝙤 greets any guests and introduces them to the collection. 𝘽𝙤 is a scholarly spirit unmoored from his home and stranded in the ethereal. He founded the collective in order to help him find his lost home. There are thousands of maps at the collective now, so 𝘽𝙤 acts as a librarian. So it can be a guild patron for the party. It can also there's also a temple to a god or goddess of knowledge that adjoins the collective. You can order copies of maps, and some of the things they do is they have an annual membership fee. They have a map pre-production they can do. They can give you cartographers tools, navigators tools, map cases, magnifying glasses, all that good stuff. And then you find out about 𝘽𝙤 here, and then another person, 𝘎𝑚ing and then you've got the Cartographer's Collective hook. So the first one is 𝘽𝙤 hires the party to retrieve a map from ruins in 𝘬𝙤, sending them along with a token. However, the map is guarded by a spirit naga, and whom 𝘽𝙤 has made a bargain, the souls of the adventurers burying the token in exchange for the map. Another one is, with a new Concord Jewel awakening, the collective is keen to get maps and information about the new civilization. Anyone submitting such a map and giving a public lecture will have their joining fee waived and be given 2 free years of membership. And membership has its privileges here at the Cartographers Collective. So fun stuff, super useful. You could probably even adapt this for somewhere outside the Radiant Citadel, if you have like a similar construct, or you want to create like sort of a nexus of realities and locations and planes and stuff. Even the NPCs and the hooks could maybe be repurposed for somewhere else. But there's some things where, like this menu of food, you could use that outside of this book too. So some reusability here as well. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. I think we need more stuff for things like this. So really, really cool to see Radiant Citadel getting some continuous love from small publishers. So check it out. It's under Radiant Citadel Enterprises in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Reforged, Magic Armor expanded by Eric Rise. Over 50 new Magic Armor items for 5th edition, and it's $2.95 for 7 pages. And it says it expands on the existing magical armor items found in the Dungeon Master's Guide. It introduces 3 new versions for each of those for a total of 56. So basically what's happening is there's magic armor in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and Eric is taking those and creating variations so that you have the original one, but you can have further iterations, whether it's less powerful or more powerful. And it seems that Eric is using tiers, which is super helpful, because you tend to think of giving out magic items based on the character's level or the tier that they're in, whether they're ready for certain rarities, right? So that's super helpful to say, okay, we've got armor of resistance here. So in tier 1, this would be the armor of resistance I would give out. So then in tier 2, this would be the one. And then tier 3 and 4, these would be the ones I would use. And you see how the rarity goes up. So tier 1 is uncommon, tier 2 rare, tier 3 very rare, and tier 4 legendary. And you could even find ways to make these grow as the person. One of the trendy things right now with small publishers is doing items that level with your character. So you don't have to get rid of the magic item, find another one, because now I'm in a different tier and all that, right? You just have these ones that sort of grow as they grow and as they level up. And so you could do that with these. You could give them the armor of resistance tier 1. Which it says it's light, medium, or heavy, and requires attunement. While wearing this armor, you can use a bonus action to give yourself resistance to one type of damage until the end of your next turn. The DM chooses the type or determines it randomly from the options below. Then when you get to tier 2, you have resistance to one type of damage while you wear this armor. The DM chooses the type or determines it randomly from the aforementioned table. And then tier 3, you have resistance to one type of damage while you wear this armor. Additionally, you can use a bonus action to make yourself immune to the damage type until the end of your next turn. The DM chooses a type or determines it randomly from the aforementioned table. Once this special action is used, it can't be used again until the next dawn. And then finally, at the legendary level, you have resistance to 2 different types of damage while you wear the armor. Additionally, you can use an action to make yourself immune to those damage types for 1 minute or until you are no longer wearing the armor. And so similar kind of stuff, but it's just kind of growing in power. So as I said, you could have this armor just level with the character. You could say this is special. Maybe don't even call it armor of resistance. Just say this is some special armor. Give it your own name, right? And then as they level, to say, oh, you're noticing that now it is when you got hit with this acid damage. It also didn't impact you, or you were resistant or whatever, you know. And so you can kind of surprise them that there's a second one when they get to tier 4 or whatever, right? So lots of fun things that you can do, and that's just one. All of these armors, the plate of armor of etherealness, sentinel shield, shield of missile attraction, are giving you options. So this book has a lot of value, and that it can take existing stuff that you're maybe tired of giving out and make it different and new, and either making it more powered or less powered. It can also give you that growth potential where you start with it and it just kind of changes over time. And you can still use the original name, or you can give it a new name that's associated with your lore. So you're getting a lot of options, 56 different pieces of armor, all in this book. So you want to check it out. It's only $2.95 and get all that. Have it on hand for when you need it. And it's under Reforged Magic Armor Expanded in the links below. Give it a click. Well, that was our last DM's Guild title for the week. Before we move on to DriveThruRPG, I do want to show you some fun artwork that is a teaser for our next book, which is going to be in Krynn. We are doing a massive Dragonlance book for players and DMs, and you can see some fantastic artwork here. The background is part of a regional map that's going to be in the book from Saga Mackenzie. So it's going to be a really beautiful map for Krynn that you can use. And we've also got lots of characters you're going to meet in the book. You're seeing 3 of them here. I'm not going to reveal who they are, but you can see a Kender and a Minotaur. You know, a lot of the races that you're familiar with from Dragonlance and Krynn are going to be involved in the book. So if you want to get your Krynn on, if you want to have adventures in Dragonlance, yes, the Wizards of the Coast book is coming, but I want you to know there's more than that coming, so that you can really get excited and get worked up, because December 6th, DM's Guild is going to allow Dragonlance content, and so our book will be there waiting for you to enjoy, and it is massive for both players and DMs. But also, we have a lot of other books that we've already released, and if you want to check those out, they are listed in the links in the video description, or you can go to splinterverse.com and check those out. We've got Swarms of the Multiverse, which is over 180 pages in print and digital, that gives you everything you could ever want for swarms, including 70 new creatures and 140 stat blocks. Some of the creatures make swarms, form swarms, summon swarms, or command swarms. Whatever their connection is, you get the individual creature, a ton of detail, minimum of 2 pages per creature, plus all the information on their swarm connection, tactics, adventure hooks, ancillary items like demiplanes, magic items, diseases, factions connected to these creatures, so you can really incorporate them into any setting you want. And all sorts of other fun things like environmental swarms that don't even have hit points. They're just more like puzzles or hazards that you have to deal with as you traverse the terrain, and instructions on how to create your own swarms in 5th edition that are balanced. So that alone is going to make it a valuable tool for DMs out there. Then we've got our platinum best-selling print or digital Feywild Companion, which is over 150 pages of Feywild content. So you get a whole new domain of delight in there with a map and a really fun archfey. You get Flowers of the Feywild, which is a new type of consumable that brings the plant life of the Feywild to life. You get subclasses that are Feywild themed. You get backgrounds. You get magic items, spells, full adventures, encounters, monsters. It's all in there. VTT maps, tokens, you name it, it's there. Then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is over 100 pages print or digital, and it's everything you could want to make potions interesting instead of just this boring, oh, I drink a healing potion, oh, that's boring. This talks about what do they taste like, what do they smell like, what's on the label, what's not on the label, what happens if I have too much of it, what happens if I get a potion that I can take twice. All these different optional rules, plus a bunch of new potions with really gorgeous artwork for each one, with beautiful bottles and colors to them, and even an origin story for each of these new potions, like how do they even get invented, because we don't even know that with the ones from Wizards. So it's really cool to find those out, and you can have a vendor relate those stories, or you can turn them into adventures if you want. And then we've got how to craft potions, brand new plants that can be used as ingredients, and all the lore surrounding those plants. We've got potion themed locations with vendors and full inventory lists and maps of 2-floor potion shop even is mapped there for VTT use. Then you've got our other platinum bestseller, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, which is dragon themed. It's got subclasses for every single class. It's got trinkets, a new familiar, horde magic items, regular magic items, spells, draconic gifts, just everything you could want for the player side to either work with Fizban's Treasury of Dragons or on its own. And to help DMs, we have a whole section at the end that goes through each part of the book and ties it into adventure hooks so that you can use it as a DM as well. So it's really fun. And we got Secrets of the Draugr, which brings together 2 races, the Drow and the Duergar, into a brand new race that has their own deities, their own fortune-telling method. They've got subclasses and different other little pieces that bring them to life. They could be the secret hidden race that's existed in your campaign that are now emerging from the shadows, and you can learn all about them by playing through their backgrounds or using the subclasses or just the deities, whatever pieces you want to pull out of there. You can plug and play easily with that. And then we also have Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which goes into the concept of lineages, which was introduced in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft and is very new. So it's interesting because it brings up a lot of questions like, how do you gain a lineage? How do you lose a lineage? And so we cover that. We also talk about how you could chain them together to have a character go from one lineage to another. And it covers all the existing lineages published by Wizards plus the ones that we publish. So pretty comprehensive. And then there's 4 brand new lineages in there that are conflict driven that are going to be really fun. Whether you're going to be tied to a mysterious book or a key, or you're going to have the blight. There's just so many different little things that are going on. Maybe you have the shadow being that's following you. So many different ways to play your character that are very personal. When you look at races, those are very broad role-playing opportunities because there's many members of a race. But with lineages, it's like something happened to you. And that's what's exciting about the concept. I would personally much rather play a lineage than a race because I just think they're way more fun to role play. So you'll want to check that book out as well. But beyond that, please subscribe to the channel, like the video for the algorithm, and leave us a comment. I'll respond to all of those personally. And if you can, share the video out there on your social media, whether you retweet us or just post it up on your own services. That really helps us get the word out. There's so many great titles. I really hope you look at all the links in the video description and consider purchasing the books of these authors, following them on social media, leaving them a review or comments or whatever to support them and encourage them to keep going. There's so many great books every week that we're covering, and we don't even get to cover all of them. There's just so many being released. And so it's great to have these publishers get support. And if you click any of the links and purchase anything and do your shopping with us, it helps us through a small affiliate fee. So thank you, and we appreciate that so very much. Well, that's my spiel for this week. Thanks so much for listening. Let's move on to DriveThruRPG. First, we have the Aerie of Broken Wings by the DM Tool Chest, $3 for 11 pages, 5th edition. And it's an adventure for 3 to 5 characters of 5th to 6th level, optimized for 4 characters with an average party level of 5. It says a mining shaft has collapsed into a hidden cavern and an ancient temple to a forgotten avatar of death. After being attacked by undead creatures, the miners hired a band of mercenaries to clear them out, who proceeded to seize a hidden artifact's power for themselves. Their work threatens to revive an avatar of death imprisoned within the cavern's walls. So, yeah, it sounds like an interesting situation that the characters are going to find themselves in. And, yeah, it looks like it's going to be beautifully laid out. You get 2 VTT tokens to help you, as well as high-res digital map files that are VTT ready in both gridded and ungridded versions. and then of course the PDF for the adventure. So I really like how all this is packaged up nicely to give you everything you need if you're doing VTT, or if you're running it without VTT, you get it all. So you know, maybe one time you run it without the VTT, another time you run it with, you know, depending on the table and your play group. You know, some might prefer digital, some don't, but the beauty is you get both when you buy a product like this where it all comes together. So looking inside, you get to see 4 of those 11 pages. So gets right into the adventure and talks about how you might get there with the adventure hooks here. Talks about the Golden Griffins, and then goes into Westwick Mines and the general features of it, and this really fun mining map, which I love, because you just always hear about mining, and you know, especially with dwarves and stuff. So you're gonna have lots of use out of this map if you use VTT at all. There's gonna be plenty of places where you could use a mine. Even if you don't use the whole map, you could just use part of it to show some underground stuff. So really cool reusability right off the bat with this title. So let's read a few of the hooks. So rumors have been coming out of the Black Hills regarding miners missing from the town of Westwick. They say they went into the mine one day and the undead came out at night. The townsfolk sent some professionals in to take care of the situation, but they didn't return. The townsfolk are living in fear and are left to fend for themselves without funding for additional help. Another option is an ethereal disturbance. Characters with religious backgrounds or spiritual sensitivities begin feeling an uncomfortable pull deep in their essence. Their gods and spirit connections cannot confirm what is happening, but when questioned, they all suggest the characters listen to the pull and address what they find at the end. They are then drawn to the silver mine in Westwick, where they find an ancient power rippling across the ethereal and pulling them closer. So there's this uncomfortable pull deep in their essence, and so that's a cool. I haven't heard that kind of a hook before. I like that because it's very personal. They've got one with the Doralee mining company could be reaching out and bringing in the players as well. So 3 various hooks, and they're all distinctly different. Sometimes you get a bunch of hooks and they're all just reskins of the same kind of concept. These are pretty different, so I appreciate that. And then you've got general features of the mine, so that magic and high-end construction techniques were used to build the fairly well-constructed tunnel of the old silver mine. The new mine shaft, on the other hand, was constructed with whatever material was on hand, although still stable. The tunnels are roughly 10 feet high. The floors are clear and well-traveled. So they're giving you kind of what to think about the ceilings and floors, how sturdy they are, and the walls, and then it talks about the lights. There's a few light sources in the mine, and the area descriptions assume the characters have their own. The temple is well lit by lanterns, the mercenaries placed around the entrance, so telling you how lighting is going to be. And the climate, the air in the mine is chilly and frequently whistles through the tunnels from cracks in the mountain, which were exposed when the main shaft collapsed. So getting you ready, making you feel like you know the area. But the coolest part is this ethereal pulse. So every 30 minutes, a pulse of magical energy emanates from the crystal in the temple and expands outward for 100 feet. Living creatures caught in this pulse must succeed on a con saving throw or gain a point of exhaustion. If a creature dies from exhaustion and at least 1 point comes from this effect, it becomes a mindless zombie under the GM's control. This condition can be removed with a remove curse spell or similar effect, or by destroying the crystal soul prison. So fun stuff. I love that before you even get into the adventure text, the author is preparing you for how to deal with all the little things that are going to come up. What's the lighting like? Can we breathe? Did my fireball destroy all the walls? What's going on? And I think the ethereal pulse is a really fun mechanic because it could really throw people for a loop. Like, why is that happening? And how do we stop that? We got to stop that from happening again. And it also just kind of, I think, builds to the climax, because the second, third time that's happening, the character's going to be like, we got to find this. We got to stop this because we're starting to get exhaustion, and so it's going to increase that urgency that I think all adventures need a little bit of, at least, because you want to bring your players back to the table every week, keep them engaged, keep them moving forward. And it's just like a movie or television. If there's no conflict, if there's no reason to go on, if it's just people just sitting there peacefully drinking coffee, you're not going to watch that movie. You're going to change the channel. So you need in adventures conflict and something that gives them urgency. And so this Ethereal Pulse is a really cool way of doing that. And again, the beauty with modules like this is you can pick and choose things. You can take the Ethereal Pulse and put it in some other homebrewed adventure. But you should buy this book for only $3. Get these awesome maps, these tokens, these concepts, and a full adventure. And then, play that and use parts of it for other things. So very, very cool. Love it. Think it's going to be fun. You should grab it. It's only $3. Aerie of Broken Wings in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Chthonic Crawl, Issue 1, Magic Items, which is compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics, OSR, so older editions of D&D. And it's 38 pages with 17 magic items that you can drop into any fantasy setting. Each comes with black and white hand-drawn picture. All magic items come with a brief system, neutral history, and plot hook, as well as the traits that the item possesses. So really cool. And you even get PNG files of each item, so you can use it as a handout or to display on a VTT system or however you want to do it. But I love this fun cover. It takes me back to a lot of old comic books and stuff. But let's look inside. It looks like it's set up in spread format. At least the preview is. I'm not sure if you get both spread and non-spread in your files or not. But either way, I'm sure it's fine. But very cool. I mean, the artwork in this, I was flipping through earlier, is just so good. You got the lore, the traits for the Robe of Maggots. So here's the lore, then the traits of it, and then a plot hook to go with the magic item. So there's the beautiful artwork. Then next is Finthoral's Giant's Bane. Same thing, lore, traits, plot hook. We'll read one of these. And then here's the mini-eyed shield of 𝘏𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤. And it's got lore, lots of traits, and then plot hooks. So we'll read about this one. I love the artwork for it too. So let's zoom in. It says 𝘏𝙤𝙤𝙤's plans of bloody conquest failed spectacularly. Not wanting to take responsibility, the fiend had his captains assembled, had their eyes plucked from their heads, and their spirits bound to the newly forged mini-eyed shield. He cursed them to always be on the lookout for failure and to punish that failure when they see it. So it's a +1 medium shield with an AC of 2. When an attacker rolls a natural 1, when attacking someone who is defending themselves with the shield, one eye opens with a moist pop, and the owner of the shield rolls on the following random table. So I love random stuff like this. That's one of the reasons I picked to read this one. It's so cool, especially with eyeballs. So you've got the eye looks into the soul of your attacker and gives you some of that information, granting you a +1 to your attack roll. So it's staring into the soul of your attacker and giving you info that gives you a bonus. So I love that. The second one on the D10 is the eye shoots a cone of bright light, blinding anyone in front of the shield within a 10-foot radius who fails a fortitude save for 1d4 rounds. So cool stuff. And we didn't even read all 10. I want you to come here and explore those yourself. They all look fun to me though. And I mean, you can't beat this art. Look at that. So good. All these little eyeballs on it, and they make a moist pop when they open. I love that description. Yeah, I mean, we just looked at a few of the items. There's 17 of them in here. So if you're playing OSR, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and you really want some flavorful items where you're going to get PNG files to display them and really fun artwork to look at, I think this is going to be just a lot of fun for you. So check it out. It's under Chthonic Crawl in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the complete guide to creating epic campaigns by Guy Schlanders and Geek Stable. It's $19.95 for 146 pages, and it's a remastered version. Massive overhaul of all the content to bring it in line with the new OGAS process as described in the practical guide to becoming a great GM. So it's got practical, applicable information for your next campaign, as well as a comprehensive system to teach you how to make an epic campaign by the time you finish reading the book. You'll never have, or you'll always have your very own campaign ready to go. So very, very cool. Who doesn't want to learn to make their campaigns better, to find, I mean, even if you've been making campaigns, this book is going to maybe give you some things you haven't thought of. Or if you're new, this could really guide you step by step through creating a campaign. And what's cool is Geeks Table has made this system neutral. So it doesn't matter whether you're playing Dungeons and Dragons first edition all the way to 5th edition, or you're playing OSR or Pathfinder or Powered by the Apocalypse, any of the systems, you can make epic campaigns using this. So let's take a look inside, and you get this cool Skeletor-like creature in the opening with some fun artwork, and then it goes through fundamental concepts. So it starts with the plan, and you get to see 9 of these 146 pages. What makes an epic campaign different from other campaigns? What are the other campaign styles? We have 3 other styles: open, accidental, and player campaigns. Open campaigns are campaigns that have Monster of the Week adventures and feature villains and monsters that do not link together in a bigger story. Accidental campaigns are campaigns that happen when a GM has run a few different adventures with the same PCs, and those adventures start to form a bigger narrative. At that point, the whole thing might evolve into an open campaign. Open and accidental campaigns conclude when everyone has had enough of the PCs in the setting. These campaigns will often die off or fail, and then they are over. Player campaigns are campaigns that are based exclusively on players' characters' goals and ambitions, and the main story is about them achieving those goals. The game ends when the PCs have achieved all their respective goals. Epic campaigns differ from other types of campaigns insofar as the epic campaign is the PCs versus an NPC of significant power. The PCs are there to be swept up into the grand narrative where different adventures are linked together, and the players learn about a much bigger and more sinister game being played out by your super NPC that they must stop somehow. The campaign ends when the PCs overcome that NPC or achieve a certain goal, and thereby scuppering that NPC's plans, which you have laid out before them. So, very true, very true. Those are the different types of campaign. And it says, what makes epic campaigns particularly difficult to execute is the axiom that says story emerges from the collective efforts of all the players. Since the GM is a player and the folks controlling their individual PCs are players, everybody's responsible for the story. But if that is the case, how can the GM design a story? Surely it is the GM story that the other players get to experience. Yes, if you're doing it wrong. So focus on the fact that we as GMs should generate a plan rather than an outcome. So that's true. There's a lot of debate between how much the DM should control versus how much the players should control. And so I like this because it's leading into this direction of, instead of making every single thing sort of railroaded into first you do A, then you do B, then you do C, and making the players feel like they're not really controlling their own destiny, that they're just sort of along for the ride. Instead of doing that, what this author is saying is, let's have a plan, which means it's going to be looser, right? It's going to be more of like we're going to try to get over to this, we're going to weave in this. But it's not like you have to go A, B, C, D, E, and through the whole alphabet to get to the end, right? Which is railroading. So that's how they're starting. So they're starting out very good. And then they got the narrative structure, social contract. So you have to put in place a social contract with you as a GM and the players. So it gets buy-in at the beginning and really establishes how it's going to work. And then you plan versus plot here. So what is plot versus plan? Plot, again, is that ABC, this event happens and this event happens and then this event happens. If you've noticed in a lot of like the Wizards releases, you can go a lot of different directions. It's like you can go explore this location on the map over here, or you can go there. The reason that's that way is they want players to have agency and the ability to bounce around and do different things. They don't always say you got to go A, B, C, D, right? So this is following through on that. So it's going to help you. And I like the layout. It's really easy to read, very well written. I think the authors are pros at writing here, and you can see some fun artwork, like these two giants having a battle, or cyclopses maybe, can't tell. I think this looks really fun, gonna help you, whether, like I said, whether you're experienced or not. This could be a really good read to help you either get your first campaign off the ground, your second, your 450th, whatever it is, just make you think about something different. Maybe you've been getting bored being the DM and you want to shake it up. This could also maybe spur some thoughts. I mean, it's 146 pages, so there's going to be a lot of stuff to consider and contemplate as you build your campaigns. So check it out. It's under Complete Guide to Creating Epic Campaigns, and the link's below. Give it a click. Next, we got Dungeon Vault Magazine issue 27 with contributions by Michael T. Dubont, Vile Nost, Vladimir El Vlado Rodriguez, and of course, Elven Tower. $5.95 for 47 pages, and it's for 5th edition. And I love this series. We've talked about it a number of times on this show because it is so inexpensive to get so much stuff, because it's really giving you these short modules that they vary in structure. They're not always the same, and they've got low to mid level, so level 1 to 10 basically, and really giving you what you need to pull an adventure off the shelf and just jump in. And there's 10 in each issue, and you get printer-friendly versions, you get an EPUB version, you get high-res and low-res VTT maps, and all the maps are just gorgeous. I mean, the price alone for the maps, even if you don't play any of the adventures in here, although I encourage you to do it, they're fun, you're going to get such useful maps for just $3 or $5.95 here. And what's awesome is that I feel like the adventures in here are perfect for like a one-shot. They have just that right amount of detail, so it's not too much, but not too little, so you feel like you have so much latitude as a DM to either work this into a larger story, to play it one and done, whichever way you want to go, whichever lower tier 1 or 2 party you have, you are good to go. Especially if you buy multiples of this series, you can flip through and find something and go. It's got the maps, you don't have to find maps, you just got it. It's there, all in one. So looking inside in this one, you can see so many different options. So it could be level 9, level 2, level 5, level 7, level 3, level 8, level neutral, level 2, level 5, right? So bounces around levels 1 to 10. So you pull this off the shelf and you're good to go. So it gives you, in this case, this is Delve level 9. Tells you some of the baddies you're going to go up against, gives you the setup, goes through the characters, and then right into exploring the map. Super simple, straightforward. And then here we got another one. Gives you the baddies, setup, hooks, right into these beautiful maps. This one's, they're not all dungeons. Even though it's called Dungeon Vault Magazine, this is a town that you're exploring, right? And then another one, and it just goes through, and you can look at 20 pages. You can get to see quite a bit of this book. And we're just scrolling through some fun artwork, so many different types of maps. We've seen a town, we've seen a camp here in the snow, we've seen a dungeon. I mean, just the variety of the maps that you're going to get. I mean, look at this one, all these eyeballs coming at you from this sort of altar or something at the end, or throne. Really cool. So let's scroll back up and read one of these intros for you. So, A Nightmare of Clay. Necromancy and blood magic are, in general, forbidden, ill-regarded. The power that comes with it is not cheap. Those who harness the energy of blood and death face dangerous challenges. It is not uncommon for a necromancer to have disfigured hands, loss of hair, pustules on their face, rotten teeth, and the like. They paid the toll for their powers with their life force and integrity. So yeah, if you want to have a necromancer that they have to deal with, and have this notion that necromancy and blood magic are a little bit forbidden, boom, you're good to go. Drop this in, you're off to the races, and it folds seamlessly into your campaign. So you've got Vander the Necromancer and all the history of Vander, and then adventure hooks. So it says, born in extreme poverty, Vander fought for food and survival from a young age. He witnessed the death of some of his siblings, and he saw his father die of a horrible disease. When he finally gathered the resources to leave, he did not falter and never looked back. However, since Vander did not know any better, it was not rare for him to eat vermin, live on the streets, and behave sometimes like a filthy animal. This naturally earned him the hate and rejection of all people he encountered, even the common folk. After a month in the city, he was pushed to the local cemetery, where he would stay for weeks unbothered. Then he found the book. And so this is a book that's leather bound with eldritch inscriptions and a dry clay screaming face sculpted on its cover. So it's a necromancy book, and it's going to lead to some shenanigans that the party's going to have to deal with, right? So you've got the main entrance, the standing sarcophagi. I mean, look at this map with these pools of purple stuff. And I mean, that looks like a fun little room there in the upper left. And yeah, so look at these maps. I mean, they're just perfect. You're going to be able to reuse them. Got something called the Clay Laboratory. It says this is the mausoleum's largest chamber, 8 pools of purple viscous clay with canals that take to deep central reservoirs. A single desk with a stone seat at the far end of the room oversees the entire chamber. So you're going to deal with clay golems, you can deal with Vander the Necromancer, clay crabs, mounds of clay, zombies, gas. It's all here, folks. So, and that's just 2 pages. You can print those easily. Follow along on your shelf, waiting for when somebody's going to miss a session. So you need an urgent session. I mean, look at that map. Gorgeous. Holidays are coming. You're going to have visitors. You may be able to do just one adventure. You can start them at level 9. You can start them at level 5. Give them some more power. Level 1 can be boring, right? You don't have enough to do, really. So start them at a later level. And just do one of these adventures. They go back home from wherever they came to visit you, or you went to visit them. And you have a great memory of D&D. You didn't have all the trappings of a huge campaign. It was just a fun little adventure against a necromancer or whoever else in this compendium of 10 different ones for only $5.95 and tons of maps. Check it out. Dungeon Vault Magazine 27 in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Encounters in the Subterranean, 10 unique 5th edition encounters from Grimm Press, on sale for $4.99. And for 5th edition, of course, authors Matthew Campbell, Steve Hill, Daryl Ho, and Dan Salvucci. And it's got 10 unique encounters. They range from 1st to 13th level, involve a mix of exploration, combat, and social role-playing, and have been specifically designed to reference the maps in the map pack. So there's a separate map pack. So if you play VTT, you might want to click our link and then come down here and buy the bundle where you get the map and encounters. If you don't play on VTT, then maybe you don't need the maps. 34 creature stat blocks, 17 magic items, 4 lookup and random tables. And then you get 4 tier 1 encounters, 4 tier 2, and 2 tier 3. So a good mixture. So you can see the different party levels, and they've thankfully arranged it in average party level order. I really love when books do that. Start with the level 1, work to level 13, because then that way maybe you want to just keep going and play that first adventure that's for level 1 and then go right to the level 2. You don't have to flip back and forth throughout the whole book based on the level. You can just start with level 1 and work your way through to level 13, etc. So fun. So introduction, how to use the book, and then right into the first one, it's an encounter type social overview, and then the rewards at the end, items such as Mushroom of Victory and the Shine Dust Pebbles, and then you get all your stat blocks, so Commoner, Violet Fungus, etc. And then right on to the next one. Easy, simple, printable, quick to run, adventures in the subterranean. Maybe you want to go to the Underdark, you want to go into some minor area where there's mining, maybe you want to go into some dungeons and just carry on outside of, like, maybe there's a cavernous exit to a dungeon and you want to just go on to another adventure down there, or maybe you have your own setting that's just underground. So these could all, they're all themed around subterranean, so it's cool. So this one, the first one, well, there's your problem. It's for party level 1. It says the characters pass through the tiny gnome hamlet of Paidu, which is having some political trouble with its infrastructure and a silly inversion of the old rickety bridge trope. The wooden bridges in the settlement are in dire disrepair, but the gnomes are vehemently split between those who favor restoring the bridge to a traditional zine and those who favor a modernized approach. The characters will need to mediate, browbeat, or bribe the way to a solution, or maybe they just build the bridge themselves. So you can scale the encounter based on whatever desired CR you want. And it sounds like a fun little location. It says the party was either sent to Paidu or passes through on their way to another location. And you read or paraphrase the following. The bridge is in a concerning state of disrepair. Several planks are either damaged or missing, and the ropes look to have been repaired and jury-rigged. Beneath a slow but acrid-smelling steam of acidic water passes under the bridge. Even the most nimble gnomes are careful when crossing, and neither bridge looks like it could bear much weight. Further along the stream, a second bridge looks to be in just as much of a poor state. So yeah, they're getting a look at what this messy bridge area. Like, why did these gnomes let these bridges get so wrecked? I guess because they can't agree on how to redo them. But it says any nearby gnomes will be more than willing to explain the terrible condition of the bridges if asked. If the party breaks one of the bridges, the explanation will be shouted at them. While everyone agrees that something needs to be done about the bridges, the farmers and the miners cannot agree on a joint plan. It says all kinds of information about the miners, and then outcomes, multiple outcomes, which I appreciate, and then multiple rewards, including these items. So the mushroom of victory, these specialty grown mushrooms are brown with yellow spots. When you eat the mushroom, you gain hit points. The mushrooms are lighter and more durable than potion bottles, though as a solid, it is harder to administer to an unconscious patient. And then you get Shine Dust Pebbles, which is a weapon. It slings bullets. These glassy blue sling stones shatter on impact, dealing normal damage and covering the target in a cloying, glittering dust. A creature hit by the ammunition has disadvantage on stealth checks until they can take an action to thoroughly clean off the dust. Fun, I like that. Some really flavorful items you can use throughout the subterranean, honestly, because they're mushroom and crystal based. And then you've got a terrifying dragon that you can read about. So you can read 2 of the full of the encounters and out of the 10 in this preview. So I think you should come here, read through it, see if it's going to work for you. I think there's a lot on offer here for $4.99. Who doesn't need adventures ready to go? Quick one-shots, fun stuff. I like the little gnome one already. So check it out. Encounters in the Subterranean in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have The Lost Triptych from Pacesetter Games and Simulations, $20 for 196 pages. Author Tom Wilson, and it's for 5th edition. Minions of a rival deity have stolen a sacred artifact of your order with the intent to transform it to suit their own nefarious machinations. They have brought the holy device to the Mountain of Whispers, the stomping grounds of evil sycophants and zealot soldiers who serve the goddess 𝙤𝙤𝙘 without question. Your precious artifact has been broken into separate pieces and hidden in secret locations to make it harder for you to recover it. No doubt the high priest 𝘿𝙤𝙗 is preparing the rituals and spells to make the device a vessel for evil at this very moment. Is your faith strong enough to endure the evil horrors of the mountain where your gods can barely be felt? Can you persevere through overwhelming odds to defeat 𝙤𝙤𝙘 and recover the Lost Triptych? It's a campaign for characters levels 8 to 12, so that's cool. You don't often see 8 to 12 as an option, so I like that. You're getting to see 3 of the pages. You got something called the Globe of Profane, which is a wondrous item. This palm-sized glass sphere is filled with a shimmering viscous liquid. Typically 1d3 globes of profane are found together. You can use an action to throw the globe up to 60 feet. The globe shatters on impact and is destroyed, but a clinging fog escapes in a 10-foot radius area. Each creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be unable to cast cleric or paladin spells or use a channel divinity ability for 2 minutes. An affected creature can repeat this saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. So cool. Oh, nice map in here of the temple. Yeah, I like the layout. Really easy to read. We'll read one of the flavor texts as well. So, white alabaster and veined marble walls and floors shine from diligent scrubbing and polish. 4 long rows of teak benches before an ebony statue of the goddess provide ample seating for faction members and faithful visitors. The great black statue of Egremish is surrounded by snakes and scorpions who circle, bite, or sting the goddess's supple legs. Several arms hold animals aloft, her hands squeezing the life from the dying creatures. A silver table and matching vessels stand before the great statue. Only the tiles before the altar show any wear in this temple, their surface likely scrubbed clean of blood and burned flesh over several decades. So, a little creepy place, a little temple with some interesting statue going on. I like that. I like the description of that statue. Takes me there. So, very good. Fun stuff here. Lots of detail. I think this is going to be a fun little adventure. Nice map in here as well. So yeah, I think you should check it out. It's under the Lost Triptych in our links below. Give it a click. Next, we got Monsters Mythica, Bogan and Bogart from Underground Oracle Publishing, $3 for 6 pages. Authors Keith Penley and Jess Penley. And it says, Bogans are small fae that resemble elderly men and women with oversized noses, pointed ears, and bodies covered in long, shaggy fur. Although they can be found in any enchanted forest around the continent, Bogans always prefer to build their small cottages and homes near remote settlements and frontier villages where they can closely monitor the people under their protection, whether they like it or not. So you get 2 new fae to add to your campaigns, the benevolent Seelie Bogan and the malevolent unseelie Bogart. And you get 5 new favors and 5 new jinxes to also use for fae stuff. So looking inside, we get to see just a little bit. So there's 3 pages here, and it just gives us some background on the creatures that are going to be here. So it says, Bogans are incredibly judgmental fae who believe it's their duty to reward those who are helpful, polite, and kind, and punish the lazy, rude, and aggressive. Although some may chafe against the Bogans' self-appointed position as arbiters of decorum, their blessings and curses are not to be taken lightly, and so there are many who appreciate the good intentions and protections that the Seelie fae can provide to the settlements they safeguard. The known presence of Bogans in an area is enough to shape the behavior of an entire town, while the unknown presence of Bogans serves as a good deterrent for traveling ne'er-do-wells that may pass through with ill intent. So yeah, it's cool. You can use these Bogans, in the Feywild, of course, or some sort of Fey realm, but also they can be in maybe the material plane, and just the knowledge that they're there maybe makes the populace act differently. They keep citing the Bogans either as Bogans or some other name that they've come up with them locally. And maybe if players pass through and they don't realize that if they misbehave, they're going to be targeted by them, that can be interesting too. But it says, Bogans always open their doors to travelers or those in need and take the acceptance of their hospitality as consent to their judgment. Over the course of an evening, the Bogans will test their visitors in various ways, tempting any suspected vices and providing opportunities for their guests to prove their intentions and good heart. So yeah, there you go. You could have a whole encounters with them where they're kind of stuck and have to, worm their way out of it. Are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad? In the eyes of the Bogan, time will tell. Should the travelers pass their test and prove themselves to be good in the Bogan's eyes, they'll receive a favor from the small fae on their way out of the door the following morning. Should they be found wanting or bad, they'll instead receive a gift that contains a jinx. The blessings and curses that the Bogans bestow always come in the form of whatever domestic work they happen to specialize in. Bogans are proficient in all household work, but separate families excel in certain types like baking, gardening, or sewing, and they use the skills to create special gifts. They carry their magics with them. So pretty cool. You could weave that into the story so easily. You have to go visit the baker, and there's Bogans there, and Bogan is curious about you and wants to know whether you would pass the test. And the baker's like, I'm so sorry. This thing is, here, and we've learned to live with it, but you walked right into it. You didn't know. So fun opportunities. And that's just the Bogan. The Bogart is a little bit more malevolent. So yeah, you can deal with that as well, but only $3 to get these different fae to bring into your Feywild campaigns, or just anywhere you want to have a little bit of fae. So check it out. It's under Monsters Mythica, Bogan and Bogart in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Tome of Forgotten Magic by Hui Enfield and Gino Di Lorenzo. It is $9.99, 54 pages. And it's a mystical supplement for spellcasters in the 5th edition. Learn powerful and unique spells once forgotten, or create your own. Uncover divine artifacts that grow in power alongside their owners, and learn the secrets of epic spellcasting. It contains rules for casting spells more powerful than 9th level, rules for creating your own spells and magic items, as well as 80 spells and then 42 unique magic items that they've created. So lots to do. You get spells, you get magic items, but then you also get the ability to cast something higher than 9th level. You get rules to create your own spells and magic items. So a lot in this 54 pages for you to do. Epic spellcasting, which would be 9th level or higher than 9th level. Spell crafting, creating magical items, divine artifacts, epic spells, magic items, spell lists, alternate spell lists, monsters. So lots of stuff in the table of contents here. You get to see 6 of the pages. So it talks about epic spell casting and spell crafting here in the preview. And here's some tables being used for the spell crafting and then creating magical items. So you can see how magical items are created and spells are crafted through the preview. So certain elite mages are capable of casting spells that are more powerful than 9th level, known as epic spells. Epic spellcasters train for long periods of time and study intensely to be able to cast epic spells at all, and most only ever learn a single epic spell. So talks about if you're playing past 20th level, how to deal with that, and when you can bring in epic spells. So it seems to be around 19th, if I'm reading it correctly, 19th level. Spellcrafting, certain powerful spell casters, particularly wizards, may achieve fame through their invention of new spells. The act of spellcrafting can be performed by any spellcaster using the rules presented in this chapter. So it goes through it like you determine the spell's casting time, the duration, the spell's range, all that stuff. And you have to spend the appropriate amount of time to create the spell as shown in the creation times table. You have to calculate the spell's level based on attributes using the spell's level tables. So it tells you, like here, okay, if it's one action, instantaneous, and it's 1 to 10 feet, then it would be a cantrip, or 0 impact on the level maybe. But if range of touch, then the level would go down 1. Or if it's a range of 11 to 30 feet, or the duration's up to 1 minute, or bonus action, you're going to go up in levels. So the higher you go, the more levels. So by going through each of these tables, you will get to the point that you have a level, basically. And what's cool is this isn't just good for characters. It isn't just good for players. It's also good for creators. You could use this as your own little system to create spells for your books or your homebrew stuff. Same with magic items. I got a whole system down here for how to come up with, how does it activate, how does it recharge, special properties, all that good stuff. So really, really cool. I like this a lot. I think there's just so much in these 54 pages, whether it's you want to use the spells, because what does it say? There's 80 spells and 42 items. So just those alone, not even the mechanics, the optional rules, epic spells, that alone is worth the $9.99. And then getting all this other stuff to be able to craft and make your own is super helpful for not just homebrew, your characters doing it, but you doing it as well. So check it out. Tome of Forgotten Magic in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Wanderer Cartographers. It says they are just explorers, but underestimate them at your own risk, ready to use in any setting or campaign. So it's by Anarian's Coven. It's on sale for $2, normally $4. It's for 5th edition, 12 pages. And it says it gives you a cartographer guild, and then you find out about the organization, their story, and their ideals, and maps of their lair and descriptions. It looks like a 2-story place. Stat blocks for different members. So, again, I said earlier in the video, you can never have enough factions, and so having a cartographer's guild on hand when you need it for $2 is very helpful. And there's all different kinds of members, including the Wildlands Cartographer, which is CR1, the equipment, and you got the Urban Cartographer, CR1 as well, Cartographer's Keeper, CR5, and then you got something called Mo Kippur, who was born 400 years ago from a drop priestess exiled from her city. He spent his infancy on the surface, but his mother taught him Drow's traditions and way of living. Little is known of his early years, exactly as little is known of his life today. And then he's got a secret that you can read about, and the betrayal of 𝘏𝙗𝙗. So 𝘏𝙗𝙗 is actually linked with the Underdark's Drow community. Since his birth, he always refused to accept his mother's exile from a very young age, worked in the attempt to become welcome back for his people. So since the very beginning, 𝘏𝙗𝙗 has been selling all maps created with his cartographers to Drow's raiders, allowing them to attack weak spots and to use unknown routes. Being paranoid enough, he's also created a lot of magical traps in his mansion. Those traps are undetectable and invisible until he activates them when fearing for his life. So this might be a darker cartographer's guild because there's some reasons behind it that are maybe bad, but maybe your players can clean up that guild, take it over, become leaders of it, or become cartographers, or just work their way through it, clean it up, and move on. But yeah, you get all these stat blocks, these locations. I mean, this is a fleshed out faction. And as I've said, you can never have enough factions. You never know when you're going to need a cartographer stat block or a place to go to talk to the cartographers. And you can introduce this faction early and then later come back to it for the full adventure. It doesn't have to be like you introduce it and then immediately you're up in their business. It could be they're a background thing, and then eventually they become part of the focus of the story. So check it out. It's under Wanderer Cartographers in the links below. Give it a click. Next we got 𝘬𝙬𝙗 Sundial by 𝘏𝙬𝙘𝙬 and Cliff Dunn, 99 cents. Suggested price for 10 pages. And it's another in the drip release strategy from 𝘏𝙬𝙘𝙬 for the mega continent of Xul and the free city of Vateshar. It says the Archmage 𝘬𝙬𝙗 the Magnificent created a number of unique and distinctive sorcerer's artifacts with powerful enchantments, imbuing many of them with a degree of intelligence or self-awareness. He situated these across Vateshar and elsewhere in the world of Xul. These wonders channel extraplanar energies and the lost science of the giant kings of ancient Xul. One of the most strange and potent of these is 𝘬𝙬𝙗's Sundial, a sentient alien quasi-artifact with reality warping powers, the kind that can give a knowledgeable wizard mastery over the time stream. So you get back history and description of the Sundial, you get how to use it, a new spell called Pierce the Temporal Mesh, and then of course you get the background information on this setting. So since these are just individual supplements, you can work them into a larger narrative and campaign set in the mega continent of Xul and the free city of Vateshar, or you can plug and play the pieces elsewhere. So like this spell, the Pierce of the Temporal Mesh, you can use that anywhere. It doesn't have to be in Vateshar. So the full-size preview isn't working, so we're going to zoom in on the small one and take a look at it that way. So you get some intro pages and then you get right into this Sundial, and it's a Wonders item unique, does not require attunement but allows it. The center of a cobblestone pedestrian plaza in the heart of Vateshar's east side neighborhood is occupied by a large circular impression containing a complicated mechanical construct composed of both metals and that are familiar and alien, and other elements carved with symbols. It casts a shadow whose angle depends on the position of the sun. However, inexplicably, the shadow it casts never falls where it should, given the sun's position at the time. It's almost as if the shadow was being cast by a different sun. The mechanism, 𝘬𝙬𝙗 Sundial, was constructed approximately 40 years ago by 𝘬𝙬𝙗, the legendary red mage of Vateshar. That archmage created a number of unique and distinctive sorcerer's items with powerful enchantments, imbuing many of them with a degree of intelligence or self-awareness. It says that the bad luck befalls anyone who tries to move or damage the sundial. So there's a lot of history here, so you can read through that. But then it gives you a bunch of powers and suggested uses, and then you've got that spell here. So it says the character standing in the shadow of the sundial at the accurate subjective time of day receives the benefits of having completely rested until sunrise the next morning. Does not require attunement. If the sundial's shadow passes over a person at precisely midnight on their birthday, there's a 50% chance that one of the following will occur. So the character becomes younger or the character ages. And that's just a couple abilities. 𝘏𝙬𝙘𝙬 has listed a lot of stuff here, all the way up to 7 different abilities. And then you've got this 9th level Pierce the Temporal Mesh spell, which is created by 𝘬𝙬𝙗. And it says the manipulation of the demi-plane of time. You can, a number of willing companions and you can traverse time through the temporal mesh, the abstract planar essence that connects the multiverse to itself via the demi-plane of time, arriving at any other place in time desired, providing the caster knows where they are going and understands how to get there. So it goes into how that works for you. So fun stuff. And, you know, I could see lots of uses for this mysterious time dial that does different things, sundial, and a time spell, whether it's part of Ardeshir and Megacon and Azul or your own world. I think lots of opportunities here, and it's a great price, 99 cents suggested. So check it out. It's under Zabaran's Sundial in the links below. Give it a click. Well, that was our last new release, so I want to just give you a sneak peek at the exclusive Splinterverse Money Saving Monday discount every Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are giving you a new discount on a title that's exclusive to Splinterverse for around a week. And so if you want to follow us at Splinterverse on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you'll get that discount on Monday. Take a break from your work, see what we're offering. This particular title is normally $5.95, and it's not going to be. It's going to be lower than that because this is Greenhouse of Nightmares, Pretty Little Liches, which is a fun Tier 4 adventure by 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙧𝙀 Gonzalez, and is an Electrum bestseller. So over 251 copies have been sold of this title, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. And 𝙤𝙤 does some really good stuff. We've covered a number of 𝙤𝙤's books, and they're always fun. And you can see cool stuff. You know, random encounters for swamp, 3-stage boss fight, a CR26 Medusa Lich, 7 monsters, new magic items, all of this stuff. And it's a 3 to 5 hour adventure for level 17 to 20 characters. I mean, those are uncommon. You don't get a lot of Tier 4 adventures, right? So you want to subscribe and follow and do all that so you can get this discount. It's not going to be elsewhere. So we want to make sure you get an opportunity. $5.95 is already a low price for 32-page adventure with all this stuff in it, but it's going to be even lower. So check it out. It's going to be here Monday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and also in our next week's video we'll have a link there as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Well, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video for the algorithm, leave us a comment. I will respond to all the comments out there personally, and click all those links in the video description. Support these creators, purchase their books, leave them reviews, subscribe to their social media, helps lift them. There's so many, there's a lot of competition. It's really hard business for people, and you know, with inflation and stuff, people need help creating their businesses and stuff. So it's great for you to do that. And if you click any of the links and purchase anything, even something we didn't talk about, you're going to help the channel with a small affiliate fee, and we do appreciate when you do your shopping with us. And if you want to take it further, go to splinterverse.com or click any of the links to our books in the video description as well to support us. We really appreciate that. And if you're out there creating, don't give up. It's easy to feel like it's you know, too much work, or nobody's going to like it, or all of those reasons, right? But what I want to tell you is do it for yourself. It doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter whether it's beloved or receives a great rating or becomes a bestseller. It's an accomplishment for you, for your loved ones, for your legacy. That alone can be your motivation. If the other stuff happens, that's icing on the cake. So keep going, don't stop. And until next time, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Happy adventuring.